Number 6. The Abraham Crimson. After the fierce Battle of the Java Sea in February of 1942, after which the Allied forces suffered a scathing defeat at the hands of the Japanese naval forces, only one Dutch warship remained floating, the HMS Abraham Crimson. The vessel was a minesweeper ship that had been intending to retreat from the ending stages of the battle with other warships and head towards Australia. However, the ship and its crew found themselves having to make the journey alone, while the watchful eyes of the Japanese Navy looked for any ships that had made it through unscathed to finish them off once and for all. The Abraham Crimson wasn't a powerful warship by any means. With a maximum speed of 15 knots and very little firepower in the form of one 3-inch gun and two 20mm cannons, it stood no chance of being able to defend itself or fight back if it was spotted and engaged. And that was only the threat from the seas. The ship also had to be wary of Japanese bombers circling the skies like hungry vultures up above. After all, there was no way that they would withstand a direct hit. Facing an increasingly desperate situation, the 45-man crew frantically tried to think of a solution that could get them out of their predicament, and thankfully, they latched onto one particular out-of-the-box idea to turn the ship into an island. Due to being in the Pacific Ocean, there were scores of small, uninhabited islands that were lush with vegetation, so an extra one wouldn't look too out of place. The crew quickly took to raiding nearby islands, cutting down trees and gathering plants in order to adorn them across the ship like a tropical canopy. And any spare spaces that they couldn't cover were painted, so they either blended in with the trees or looked like rocks to pull the whole image together. They faced another problem though, and that was the fact that islands, unlike ships, didn't move across the water. If the Japanese spotted an island casually sailing through the seas, then the ruse would definitely be up. So to combat this, they decided to lean into being a floating island. During the day, they would moor up at a nearby island, making it look like they were part of it and not moving at all. But as soon as darkness fell, the Abraham Crimson would put the pedal to the metal and cover as much ground as they could during the night. They would then rinse and repeat the cycle the following day. Amazingly, the ship managed to make the 8-day journey to Australia's waters completely undetected by the Axis powers, reuniting with the Allies and creating one of the most interesting and creative war stories in the process. Number 5. Operation Mincemeat. During World War II, a remarkable tale unfolded in July of 1943 when British intelligence orchestrated Operation Mincemeat. The mission sought to mislead the Germans regarding the Allied plans to land in Sicily, a pivotal move in the war that would have had disastrous consequences had it been foiled. A team of British intelligence officers dreamed up a daring plan involving a dead body dressed as an officer, equipped with fabricated documents suggesting an impending Allied invasion of Greece and Sardinia. The corpse would be strategically placed to appear as if it had come from a plane crash to then float ashore on the southern coast of Spain. The idea for Operation Mincemeat came from one of the greatest minds in spy fiction. The Trout Memo was authored by Rear Admiral John Godfrey. However, it's strongly believed that most of the work was put in by his assistant, Ian Fleming. If the name sounds familiar, that's because he's the man behind the James Bond novels. The Trout Memo, the name linking a comparison between deceiving the enemy and fly fishing, included a list of schemes, with the 28th suggestion being the notion of employing a corpse with false plans. And surprisingly, this is exactly what the British decided to go for. The search for a suitable corpse proved challenging until the discovery of a dead homeless man from Wales in a warehouse who'd succumbed to rat poison. Having no real links to anyone thanks to his unfortunate circumstances, the man would be perfect to sculpt a new fake identity around. This was done by creating pocket litter, small items and fake documents to make the man appear like he was a credible person. Letters, bills, even fake play tickets were forged, helping to shape the corpse's new identity as Major Martin, an amphibious landings expert for the Royal Navy. Two pivotal documents fueled the deception. The vital document from General Sir Archibald Nye to General Harold Alexander outlining false plans for an attack on Greece and Crete, and a letter from Louis Mountbatten, the Admiral of the Fleet, hinting at Sardinia being the next target. The body, codenamed Martin, washed ashore in Huelva, Spain on April 30, 1943, a spot that was strategically chosen for its currents, which pushed the body closer to shore. Huelva was also chosen for its pro-German presence and its reliable British consul. An autopsy conducted on May 1st revealed Martin's supposed demise in a plane crash. The planted documents triggered frantic German-Spanish communications seeking copies of the contents. The success of Operation Mincemeat hinged on German thoroughness, and as early as May 14, 1943, Hitler, in a meeting with Admiral Karl Donitz, diverted reinforcements from Sicily to Greece and Sardinia. Even with the Sicily invasion commenced on July 9, 1943, Hitler persisted in the belief that the major assault would target Greece. The elaborate web of deception, born from fiction and embraced by novelists and intelligence experts, played a crucial role in shaping the course of World War II. What's the most ingenious military plan you could come up with? Let us know in the comments down below, unless you want to keep it top secret. Number 4. The Ghost Army. Some of the most powerful soldiers in World War II didn't even carry guns. Known as the Ghost Army, the 23rd Headquarters Special Troops and the 33rd Special Signal Company comprised artists, sound engineers, and designers whose aim was to disrupt the enemy forces as much as possible. One of the ways in which they did this was to use their skills to make the unit appear a bigger threat and far larger than it actually was. By using carefully crafted decoys, sound effects, and more, they could make a team of 100 men appear to the German troops as if it were 3,000 strong. They could also make the deception last until the enemy was a quarter of a mile away. Working under the cover of darkness, the team would inflate rubber tanks, trucks, and even airplanes that were designed to be so realistic that they'd confuse the Nazi Air Force. They also created fake recordings that were styled to sound like key personnel, as well as blasting recordings of military drills and the sounds of a fully functioning military base that didn't exist. In the summer of 1944, during the siege of the French port of Brest, the Ghost Army pulled off their first major trick. They set up 50 dummy tanks and positioned sound trucks near the front line. This was all part of Operation Brittany, where they successfully misled the Germans about the location of General George Patton's Third Army, allowing it to race eastward across France without detection. Fast forward to September of 1944, when Patton's forces faced a challenge attacking the fortified French city of Metz. A gap emerged in his line, and the Ghost Army came to the rescue. Using inflatables and loudspeakers playing tank noises and military commands, they held the precarious line for 7 days until reinforcements finally arrived. The Ghost Army's bag of tricks also played a crucial role in the Battle of the Bulge. Their radio deception diverted German attention, enabling Patton to relieve the Belgian town of Bastogne. The Ghost Army's greatest feat came in March of 1945 as part of Operation Viersen. As the 9th Army prepared to cross the Rhine River, the Ghost Army positioned itself strategically, inflating dummies and impersonating 2 divisions and 40,000 troops. They created a spectacle with fabricated division numbers, phony headquarters, and even fake commanders discussing false intelligence and local hangouts. And amazingly, the illusion worked like a charm. While the Germans were busy dealing with the Ghost Army's theatrics, the 9th Army crossed the Rhine with minimal resistance. Just a few weeks later, World War II finally concluded. But who knows what would have happened had the Ghost Army not helped to secure major victories in its final moments. Number 3. The fake airfields of the UK. During World War II, the UK came under heavy bombing from German Luftwaffe, leading to widespread damage and casualties in its towns and cities. So to combat this, not only did the Air Force try to take down the bombers in the sky using anti-aircraft guns and fighter planes, but they also had another trick up their sleeves in the form of a new department that had been set up within the Air Ministry. The department was spearheaded by Colonel John Fisher Turner, who got together some of the very best from the film and construction industry to create decoy sites and airfields all across the country to dupe the German forces. Using their skills at creating elaborate film sets in indoor studios, props and clever use of lighting in large open areas were used to simulate false targets for the German bombs up above. This then meant that real construction projects like towns, military bases, factories, and even railway networks were left alone, spared from bombing thanks to the decoys. One of the most impressive parts of the decoy program wasn't the elaborate bases that they constructed, but the way in which they would emulate bombing strikes to make the enemy think that they'd hit their target. This was done by creating 20-foot towers that were strategically arranged to look like rows of buildings from above. On top of these, the department placed tanks containing either paraffin or diesel, which they would then use a lever to release the fuel onto smoldering coals on the towers, resulting in a plume of black smoke. Then, by quickly extinguishing the fire afterward, the resulting steam would be a perfect simulation for a successful bombing raid. It's believed that this strategy in and of itself managed to prevent 730 air raids and potentially saved over 2,400 lives. Although nothing remains of them today, at one time there were 230 decoy airfields and over 400 dummy urban and industrial complexes that were built by this team. Their actions would also go on to inspire the creation of the Ghost Army, which we've already talked about in this video. Number 2. Operation Cascade. The Allied forces in the Mediterranean theater in 1941 were severely undermanned, but with fronts requiring men all over Europe, there weren't many soldiers to spare, and this led to the creation and implementation of Operation Cascade. Formulated by the British, it was all about tricking the Axis forces about the Allies' true strength. The objective of Operation Cascade was to create a facade of 8 armored and 21 infantry divisions, a numerical strength that would leave the Axis dumbfounded, especially when the true troop number was just 5 armored and 10 infantry divisions. To achieve this elaborate deception, bogus units were made up and shipped from various bases in the UK, Australia, New Zealand, India, and even South Africa. This wasn't just about numbers on paper though. The plan required meticulous attention to detail, or else the Axis forces would see right through it. A fictional order of a battle had to be crafted for these non-existent units, and they even got their own imaginary crests and signs. The actual troops on the ground would then help to provide a physical presence for these fake soldiers, helping to give the appearance that they were there in the flesh, ready to fight. The ultimate element that thoroughly deceived Axis intelligence was the incorporation of fabricated radio chatter and information provided by fictitious informers in Egypt. Remarkably, a significant portion of these informers were, in fact, double agents, collaborating within the Cheese Network, solidifying the success of the scheme. After the dust settled from the Second Battle of El Alamein, seized documents confirmed their success with the enemy intel overestimating British armored and infantry strength by a whopping 40 to 45%. And at number 1, Bodyguard. The Allied invasion of Nazi-occupied France on June 6, 1944, also known as D-Day, marked the beginning of the campaign to liberate northwestern Europe. A colossal undertaking involving almost 133,000 soldiers landing in heavily fortified territory. But what many people don't know about is the elaborate web of deception that was woven for nearly a year prior to ensure the operation's success. The London Controlling Section, a covert group of military officers, put their heads together to create a plan that was codenamed Bodyguard. Launched in July of 1943, Bodyguard's main objective was to mislead the Germans about the timing and location of the Allied invasion of northwestern Europe. The Allies had 2 powerful elements in this deception game. The first was Ultra, the intelligence derived from Bletchley Park, where skilled codebreakers cracked the German Enigma code. This meant that the Allies could verify the success of any information or misinformation they planted by intercepting and decoding German responses, something that the Germans had no idea they were doing. At the time, they still thought the Enigma code to be infallible. The second factor was the 20 Committee of MI5, the British intelligence agency managing double agents under the double cross system. The Germans remained blissfully unaware that these agents were being manipulated, adding an extra layer to the Allies' cunning plan. The main aim was to convince the Germans that the invasion would occur at the shortest and most obvious sea crossing, from Dover to the Pas de Calais. And to achieve this, Operation Fortitude South was set in motion. It reinforced the belief that any invasion in Normandy would be a diversion, ensuring German defenses were strongest at the supposed main invasion site. The key player in Fortitude South was Quicksilver 1, a sub-operation that created a fake army dubbed the 1st United States Army Group, or FUSAG. which was supposedly stationed in Dover under General George Patton, a man whom many of the Germans feared. To sell this solution, dummy landing craft, fake tanks, and vehicles were strategically placed around the southeast of England. Meanwhile, fake radio traffic flooded the airwaves, supported by double agents leaking false information about FUSAG. While the Germans were fixated on the elaborate charade in the southeast, the real invasion force, led by General Montgomery, was preparing to embark from locations further west along the south coast. The success of Bodyguard, especially Fortitude South, was astounding. As late as August 1944, 2 months after the D-Day landings, the Germans still believed in the existence of FUSAG. This misconception kept vital German units away from the main fighting front in Normandy, contributing significantly to the Allies establishing a firm foothold at the beginning of the liberation of Europe. The operation ultimately saved thousands of Allied lives and played a crucial role in turning the tide of the war.
9. Aichi E13A. The Aichi E13A was a Japanese reconnaissance aircraft that was used from 1941 to 1945. It was designed to carry 3 crew members and could hold up to 550 pounds or 250 kilograms of bombs. Over 1,400 of the seaplanes were manufactured during the war, but there are no known surviving airworthy examples. During the more than 2 months long Battle of Peleliu in 1944, U.S. soldiers shot down a Japanese Aichi E13A fighter plane in the Republic of Palau. It sank to the bottom of the sea in the waters of the state of Koror and remains remarkably intact to this day. Of course, time and Mother Nature have taken their toll on the submerged aircraft, but it's in good shape for its age, making it a popular diving site. Images of the wreck circulated on social media in recent years, sparking discussion about how it's hard to imagine that such a serene, peaceful place once looked like a war zone. The sunken plane is just one of around 60 abandoned World War II air vehicles throughout Palau, leading some to call it the wreck capital of the world. 8. Danube River Nazi wrecks. During the summer of 2022, a large portion of the globe was impacted by severe droughts, with water levels in many places hitting record-breaking lows. While this is troubling from an environmental standpoint, these extreme conditions have revealed dozens of long-lost shipwrecks, ancient villages, and other relics that had otherwise been lost to history. In Serbia, which experienced its worst drought in decades along with the rest of Europe, more than a dozen World War II-era Nazi shipwrecks appeared near the town of Prahovo in the perilously low Danube River. Identified as part of the Black Sea Fleet, the Germans scuttled as many as 200 ships in 1944 to prevent the advancing Russians from seizing them. The vessels took an estimated 10,000 unexploded explosives down to the river bottom, leaving behind a mess that the Serbian government claims will cost 30 million euros or 33 million US dollars to clean up. When news of the re-emerging ships broke, experts said that they expected more to appear as the river continued to dry up. In August 2022, Serbian officials announced plans to remove at least 21 of the wrecks from the water to make the river safer for traffic. The possibility of doing this has been discussed for years, but until recently, it was considered too risky due to the presence of unexploded munitions, and there was a lack of funding to carry out the removal safely. Now, the European Union and the European Investment Bank are stepping in to provide the loans and grants necessary to get the job done. 7. Australian Bowfort. The jungles of Papua New Guinea are home to an estimated 500 to 600 World War II plane wrecks, but many remain undiscovered due to the dense tropical foliage. One of these wrecks was found outside the town of Rabaul in 2022 by a young man named Willie Finn. Located in the wilderness of East New Britain, pieces of the wreck had been spotted by a local hunter who stumbled upon the debris while tracking wild boar and tipped Willie off to its location. Willie's group found the downed plane deep in the woods after an hours-long hike which involved river crossings, climbing up and down a mountain, and other extremely challenging feats. During the journey, Willie collapsed from not eating enough and injured his ankle. Determined to find the wreck, he kept going. He later told ABC Australia that when he saw the debris scattered along a hillside, it all felt worth it. The small but identifiable parts that are left include pieces of propellers, doors, and several guns. When Willie's group discovered the wreck, a large portion of it was buried in the mud, where it had sat for decades. About 10 feet or 3 meters down, they found the control column of an Australian Bowfort plane, which helped to identify it as a World War II-era wreck. The team also found human bones, along with pieces of a watch and a pilot's vest. The plane possibly belonged to a small contingent of Australian troops who guarded Rabaul until the Japanese captured it in 1942. Throughout the remainder of the war, it served as a major air and naval base for Japanese forces and endured intensive Allied bombing raids. Chief Israel Joseph of nearby Barham Village told ABC Australia that stories of wartime activity have been passed down from one generation to the next. He first encountered the wreck site about 15 years earlier, and he took efforts to protect it until Willie volunteered to explore and document it. Joseph's grandfather remembered seeing the planes crash land after being shot down. 6. HMS Perseus. Built in 1929, the HMS Perseus entered World War II in the late 1930s under Royal Navy Commander Peter Bartlett. At nearly 300 feet, or 91.4 meters long, it was one of the largest submarines to serve throughout the conflict. In August 1940, the Perseus was sent from the waters of southeastern China to the Mediterranean. It was one of the most dangerous places for Allied submarines during the war, with an estimated 2/5 of the vessels that entered the regions being sunk. In most cases, everyone aboard died. The Perseus managed to avoid disaster until the night of December 6, 1941, when it struck an Italian mine. It had departed from Malta 10 days earlier with 59 crew members and 2 passengers aboard, all but one of whom lost their lives in the explosion. The lone survivor, 31-year-old Navy stoker John Capes, was sleeping when he awoke to what he later described as a life-shattering jolt. He was thrown out of bed and had little time to think as the lights went out and the Perseus plummeted toward the seafloor. Water began spewing into the engine room as Capes grabbed a torch and saw that he was surrounded by at least a dozen dead, floating bodies. Capes surfaced with help from a breathing device and spent the next 8 hours swimming 5 miles, or 8 kilometers, to the Kefalonia shore in the frigid winter weather. When he arrived at the beach, he collapsed from exhaustion. At the time, the island was under Italian occupation. Not wanting the castaway to fall into Axis hands, nearby residents covertly helped Capes to safety. He spent the next year and a half living on Kefalonia in disguise and other various aliases with the help of Greek intelligence officials, until he finally had the opportunity to leave safely. Commercial diver and explorer Kostas Thoktaridis rediscovered the Perseus wreck in 1997. He identified it with the help of John Capes, who instantly recognized the sub in a photo of the wreck, which has a clearly visible crack from hitting the mine. The door to the hatch that Capes escaped through was still open, and the diving team found a mine anchor nearby, finally confirming long-held suspicions about the vessel's fate after 60 years. Today, the heavily corroded Perseus wreck is a popular diving attraction. 5. B-24 Liberator Bomber. At 12,637 feet, or 3,852 meters, Humphreys Peak is Arizona's tallest mountain. On the night of September 25, 1944, a U.S. Army Corps B-24 Liberator bomber crashed into the side of the mountain. It landed on a bed of boulders in a remote area, destroying the aircraft and killing all 8 crew members aboard. In the handful of years following the crash, passers-by repeatedly reported the downed plane as a new wreck. It happened so often that during the 1950s, the U.S. Forest Service used dynamite to further distribute the wreck. Today, the crash site remains littered with debris, including engine parts and a nearly entirely intact wing. The wreck is in an area that's very difficult to access. Authorities warn hikers to search for it at their own risk, but for those wishing to see one of the more seldom visited memorial sites throughout the US, it's reportedly worth the visit. Would you want to check it out? Tell us in the comments and hit subscribe while you're at it. 4. Curtiss C46 Commando. As World War II entered its final months in January 1945, a C-46 transport aircraft vanished during a brutal snowstorm while flying over India's remote Himalayas, with 13 passengers aboard. The plane was flying from Kunming in southern China when it disappeared, seemingly into thin air, over Arunachal Pradesh. It wasn't seen again until 2021, when American explorer Clayton Cools organized a search effort to locate the 80-year-old wreck. Cools took on the project after one of the passenger's sons reached out to him and asked him to look for the long-missing plane. Working with a team of guides from the local Lisu ethnic group, the team spent months searching for the wreck in perilous conditions. They crossed chest-deep rivers, trudged through snow, camped in freezing weather, and climbed to extremely high altitudes in conditions that made even the more experienced hikers in the group nervous. It was likely a major relief for everyone involved when they finally spotted airplane debris near a mountaintop. They were able to confirm the wreck's identity based on its tail number. Clayton Cools has spent years searching for lost World War II planes and their pilots, and has even spent more than $100,000 of his own money on these efforts. In doing so, he has helped bring closure to hundreds of families by providing long-awaited answers about how their loved ones were lost during the war. Over 700 Allied military planes were lost over the so-called Skyway to Hell over the Himalayas, where pilots braved 200-mile-per-hour winds, 322 kilometers per hour, and other treacherous conditions to deliver supplies to Allied forces. With Japan in control of the country's seaports and eastern plains, it was the only way to get supplies to troops stationed in China. In addition to the hazards posed by the elements over the rugged mountain range, pilots were under constant threats from Japanese aircraft. While Cools does not participate in the recovery of downed World War II planes, he has played a crucial role in locating and identifying these long-missing planes, which often serve as the final resting place for crew members who went down with them. 3. USS Wilks Bar. Built during World War II, the 610-foot-long, or 186-meter, USS Wilks Bar was a medium-sized naval ship known as a light cruiser. She entered service in late 1944, just months before the war's end. In January 1945, the ship participated in an Allied effort to liberate the Philippine island of Luzon from Japanese control, known as the South China Sea Raid. Over the following months, the Wilks Bar went on to serve in the battles of Iwo Jima and Okinawa. For a brief period after the war, the vessel was used in training exercises in Guantanamo Bay, and in 1947, she embarked on a goodwill cruise to Britain and Norway. Upon returning to the U.S., the ship was decommissioned and placed on reserve in Philadelphia, where she remained until she was struck from the Naval Register in 1971. From there, the Wilks Bar was taken to Florida and used underwater weapons tests. During one of these tests off Key West in 1972, the old cruiser's hull broke in half. The stern portion sank on its own, and the military scuttled the bow section the next day. Since then, the wreck has become an artificial reef and a habitat for marine life. It sits upright at a depth of 320 feet, or 98 meters, and is a popular destination among experienced scuba divers. 2. Martin B26 Marauder. The American-made Martin B26 Marauder bomber aircraft first saw combat in the Pacific Theater in 1942. It saw extensive use throughout the war, despite its early reputation for being a widowmaker, due to its high rate of accidents during takeoff and landing. The Marauder had an unusually high runway approach speed of 150 miles per hour, 241 kilometers per hour. Pilots who were used to much slower speeds often hesitated to go that fast, causing the aircraft to frequently stall. This was one of just several issues with the Marauder's early models, but the design was continuously improved, and by the end of the war, the aircraft boasted the lowest loss rate of any U.S. Army Air Force bomber. On October 17, 1944, Canadian Royal Air Force pilots Maurice O'Neill and Jack Wood departed from New Providence in the Bahamas for a routine training exercise in a Marauder aircraft. The plane experienced a mechanical failure and crashed into the water 400 yards, or 366 meters, off the island's north coast, killing both men. In 2021, maritime lawyer and historian Eric Weiberg set out to find the wrecked plane. For 3 weeks straight, he spent 5 to 6 hours a day searching with just an inflatable raft and snorkeling gear. He eventually came across partially buried debris along the ocean floor and was able to confirm its identity as the long-missing Marauder. Weiberg recovered several pieces of mangled wreckage, including parts from the plane's fuselage and engine props, a cockpit seat and engine hatch, landing gear, a machine gun, and more. The items were turned over to the Bahamian government agency responsible for preserving historical heritage. Speaking with CBC News, Weiberg said that the most rewarding aspect of the discovery was being able to tell the pilot's surviving relatives what happened to the men after decades of not knowing their fate. 1. The Zabello. In recent years, the bow of a World War II-era barge called the Zabello began poking out from the surface of Italy's Po River. It became even more visible during the historic droughts that struck Europe in the summer of 2022. By winter, nearly the entire 164-foot-long, or 50-kilometer vessel had reappeared after spending years underwater. Measuring 405 miles long, or 652 kilometers, the Po River is Italy's largest river. It runs between the Alps and the Adriatic Sea and was used as a shipping route during World War II. The Zabello was transporting wood and other supplies in 1943 when it sank off the town of Gualtieri during an Allied bombardment. 9. Mi26 Halo. The Mi-26, known as the Halo by NATO, holds the title of the world's largest production helicopter. Its development kicked off in the early 1970s, driven by the ambitious goal of creating a helicopter with twice the load capacity of any existing model. Taking its maiden flight in December 1977, the Mi-26 made its public debut at the Paris Air Show in 1981 and became operational in Russian squadrons by 1983, with India making the first international purchase in 1986. Since then, nearly 20 countries have embraced the capabilities of this colossal helicopter, with a price tag ranging from $10 million to $12 million. In practical terms, the Halo's cargo space rivals that of a domestic C-130 transport plane, measuring 39 feet or 12 meters in length and just over 10 feet, 3.2 meters in width, boasting a minimum ceiling height of 9.5 feet or 3 meters. With the ability to carry 2 combat vehicles weighing nearly 22,000 pounds or 10,000 kilograms each, or accommodating up to 80 combat-equipped troops or 60 stretchers, the Mi-26's versatility is evident. Yet there have been instances of pushing its limits, with reports of flights carrying as many as 150 troops. Manning the Halo is a crew of 4, a pilot, co-pilot, flight engineer, and navigator. The helicopter's landing gear, a non-retractable tricycle type, is hydraulically adjustable to aid in loading and accommodate various surfaces during landing. Equipped with an 8-blade main rotor, a technological milestone, the Halo's rotor is a marvel at 105 feet or 32 meters in diameter, composed of composites, aluminum alloys, and a titanium leading edge. The helicopter's power comes from 2 robust 10,000 shaft horsepower ZMKB Progress D136 turboshaft engines, each housed in a titanium bay for added fire protection. And with features like a retractable tail skid, load sling, and advanced flight controls, the Mi-26 Halo is a testament to cutting-edge helicopter engineering. 8.
Bertha Tunnel Boring Machine. Bertha, a colossal tunnel boring machine crafted by Hitachi Zosen Sakai Works in Osaka, Japan, was the star of the show in Seattle, Washington, taking on the Alaskan Way Viaduct Replacement Tunnel project for the Washington State Department of Transportation. This engineering marvel boasted a hefty 57.5-foot diameter, 17.5-meter cutter head, making it the world's largest earth pressure balance tunnel boring machine. Assembled in Seattle in June 2013, Bertha embarked on its tunneling journey on July 30th of that year, with plans to wrap up the 9,270-foot-long, or 2,800-meter tunnel by December 2015. However, Bertha hit a snag in December 2013. Just over 1,000 feet, or 305 meters, into the tunnel, encountering an unexpected hurdle: damaged cutting blades. Later investigations revealed damage to the main bearing seal system, leading to a 2-year hiatus for repairs. Resuming its digging quest on December 22, 2015, Bertha faced further challenges, including a sinkhole incident that temporarily halted work. But despite Governor Jay Inslee's safety concerns, Bertha persevered, with full operations resuming on April 29, 2016. The grand breakthrough moment occurred on April 4, 2017, as Bertha's cutter head emerged into a disassembly vault at the tunnel's north portal in South Lake Union. Originally estimated to open for traffic in early 2018, delays pushed the completion date to February 4, 2019, with cost overruns reaching $223 million. Bertha, at 326 feet or 100 meters in length and weighing 6,700 short tons, 6.08 million kilograms, showcased its musical side with a special melody for the workers inside and those monitoring the tunnel borer. While its components weren't reusable, Bertha's legacy lives on as the formidable giant that conquered Seattle's underground challenges. 7. Bucket Wheel Excavator. A bucket wheel excavator, BWE, is like the superhero of surface mining. A giant machine that digs up massive amounts of earth in open pit mining operations. But what makes it stand out is its colossal wheel with a continuous line of buckets that scoop up material as it turns. It's a heavyweight machine in every sense. And the Bagger 293, a star in the bucket wheel excavator world, currently holds the record as the heaviest land-based vehicle ever, weighing a mind-boggling 31.3 million pounds, 14.2 million kilograms. These excavators have been around for a century, evolving since the 1920s. In the 1950s, German firms ordered the world's first mega BWEs, with wheels measuring over 52 feet or 16 meters in diameter, and total lengths exceeding 590 feet or 180 meters. Fast forward to today, and we have giants like the Bagger 293, towering at 315 feet or 96 meters, stretching 738 feet or 225 meters in length, and weighing as much as 31 million pounds. The bucket wheel itself is a marvel. It's over 69 feet or 21 meters in diameter, with up to 20 buckets, each holding a whopping 530 cubic feet or 15 cubic meters of material. Now, let's talk about their moves. These mammoth machines can operate in freezing temperatures as low as -49 degrees Fahrenheit or -45 degrees Celsius, showcasing their resilience. And with advancements leaning toward automation and electrical power, they're not just powerful, they're smart too. But how exactly do they work? The bucket wheel rotates, scoops up material, and transfers it along a boom. A discharge boom then carries the load away, often to a conveyor system. Then, to balance things out, there's a counterweight boom. And beneath it all, movement systems, often crawlers, give flexibility. The BWE's superstructure can rotate, hoist, and slew, completing its tasks with speeds around 100 feet per minute, or 30 meters per minute for slewing, and 16 feet per minute or 5 meters per minute for hoisting. In simpler terms, these machines play a critical role in continuous overburden removal in surface mining. Their giant cutting wheels strip away sections of Earth, and with their impressive reach and flexibility, they're like the superheroes of mining, making the colossal task look surprisingly easy. 6. Komatsu D575A. The Komatsu D575A, often dubbed the world's largest production bulldozer, is a powerhouse designed for heavy-duty tasks. Hailing from Osaka, Japan, and boasting 1,150 horsepower, 7,149 amps, or 120 volts, this mammoth machine comes in two configurations: the SR, or Super Ripper Bulldozer Ripper Combo, and the SD, or Super Dozer. The SR can move an impressive 2,430 cubic feet, or 69 cubic meters of material per pass with its standard blade, while the SD steps it up to 3,375 cubic feet, or 95.5 cubic meters if equipped with an optional blade. And when it comes to digging, the D575A3 can reach a maximum depth of 6 feet 9 inches, or 206 centimeters, using a single shank ripper. Back in 1981, Komatsu introduced the prototype, the D555A, at the Con Expo Equipment Exhibition in Houston, Texas. Economic conditions slowed down development in the 1980s, but by 1991, full production of the D575A series began. Initially popular among surface mine operators in the United States, Australia, and Japan, these colossal dozers found their way into heavy construction and quarry work too. The journey continued with field testing in North America in 1989, logging over 1,000 hours of hard work by the Cooney Brothers Coal Company in Pennsylvania. The D575A2 SR Super Ripper made its debut in 1992, with the first D575A2 SD Super Dozer joining the scene in 1995, put to work by the Princess Beverly Coal Company in West Virginia. As technology progressed, the D575A3 and D575A3SD Super Dozer models took the stage in 2001, ensuring this colossal machine remains a force to be reckoned with in the world of heavy-duty earth-moving. 5. The Crawlers. For over 5 decades, NASA's Kennedy Space Center in Florida has relied on two colossal machines, known as crawler transporters, to carry rockets and spacecraft to the launch pad. These behemoths, each the size of a baseball infield, are powered by locomotive and massive electrical power generator engines, collectively weighing approximately 6.6 million pounds, or 2.9 million kilograms. That's like carrying the weight of 15 Statues of Liberty or 1,000 pickup trucks, standing at heights varying from about 20 to 26 feet, or 6 to 8 meters, depending on the position of the jacking, equalization, and leveling cylinders. These giants can transport a jaw-dropping 18 million pounds, or 8.1 million kilograms, which is equivalent to over 20 fully loaded 777 airplanes. The journey of these crawler transporters began in March 1963 with fabrication in Ohio, and they made their first move under their power on January 23, 1965. Over the years, they've played a crucial role in historical events like moving the first Saturn V rocket in 1967 and transporting the Space Shuttle Enterprise in 1979. Fast forward to recent years, and these colossal machines are still going strong. In 2019, CT-2 underwent verification and validation testing, and in 2022, it carried the Space Launch System, SLS, with the Orion spacecraft for the Artemis 1 mission, marking a historical moment. And notably on March 29, 2023, Guinness World Records recognized CT-2 as the heaviest self-powered vehicle. What makes these crawlers truly unique is their origin in 1965, initially built to move the massive Saturn V rocket. Even after the moon landing and Skylab programs concluded, these crawlers continued their mission, transporting space shuttles for 3 decades. Now, with the shuttle era behind us, these crawlers are gearing up for the next big thing: the Artemis missions, which are set to take the first woman and the first person of color to the moon. If you had the chance, would you buy a ticket to be on the first shuttle of people on a mission to colonize Mars? Let us know in the comments below. And if you haven't already, be sure to subscribe to the channel. 4. Large Hadron Collider. The Large Hadron Collider, LHC, stands as the largest and most powerful particle collider in the world. An ambitious project built by the European Organization for Nuclear Research, known as CERN, from 1998 to 2008, stretching 17 miles, or 27 kilometers in circumference, and plunging as deep as 574 feet, or 175 meters beneath the France-Switzerland border near Geneva. This colossal tunnel is a collaborative effort involving over 10,000 scientists, numerous universities, and labs across 100 countries. Having achieved its first collisions in 2010, boasting an energy of 3.5 tera-electron-volts (TeV) per beam, the LHC made headlines by announcing the discovery of the Higgs boson in 2012. Between 2013 and 2015, the LHC underwent upgrades, reaching an impressive 6.5 TeV per beam, 13 TeV total collision energy. Then, after a maintenance hiatus and further enhancements, it reopened in April 2022. The LHC's intricate design involves 4 crossing points for accelerated particle collisions, with 9 detectors strategically placed around these points. While its primary focus is colliding proton beams, the LHC can also accelerate heavy ions in lead-lead and proton-lead collisions. Functioning as a crucial tool in particle physics, the LHC aims to test various theories, measure Higgs boson properties, explore new particles predicted by supersymmetric theories, and address unresolved questions in particle physics. The term hadron refers to composite particles, like protons and neutrons, held together by a strong force. Essentially, the LHC operates as a collider, a type of particle accelerator that brings opposing particle beams together for collisions, yielding valuable insights into the subatomic world and the governing laws of nature. Positioned in a circular tunnel with a circumference of just over 16.5 miles, or 27 kilometers, and depths ranging from 164 to 574 feet, or 50 to 175 meters. The LHC's deliberate depth variation minimizes the tunnel beneath the Jura Mountains. The LHC also harnesses the Earth's crust as a shield against background radiation, making it an extraordinary scientific endeavor in the world of heavy machinery. 3. The Strat Launch. On April 13, 2019, the Strat Launch carrier aircraft, setting a record for its size, soared through the skies for an impressive 149 minutes before gracefully touching down in Mojave. This monumental achievement marked the culmination of years of dedication since 2012, during which Strat Launch, a company founded by Burt Rutan and backed by Paul G. Allen, meticulously designed, built, and tested the world's largest composite aircraft. The company's overarching mission is to revolutionize orbital access to space, striving to make it more convenient, reliable, and routine. The roots of this colossal aircraft project trace back over 2 decades, a concept that Strat Launch founder Burt Rutan had been toying with since the late 1990s. With fluctuating customer interest, various designs were explored before gaining momentum in 2011 when Paul Allen gave the green light. Before finalizing the contract, though, the team worked diligently to validate fabrication costs. This involved constructing demonstration pieces to optimize the pounds of material labor per man-hour, a crucial factor influencing the aircraft's design, featuring flat-sided fuselages and a predominantly straight wing. And what was the result? The awe-inspiring Strat Launch carrier aircraft, weighing in at a staggering 1.3 million pounds. 589,670 kilograms, and stretching an impressive 238 feet, or 72.5 meters in length, with a wingspan reaching 385 feet, or 117.4 meters. The company's commitment to pushing the boundaries of aerospace technology isn't only reflected in the monumental first flight, but also in the ongoing pursuit of enhancing space travel for the future. And for those seeking a closer look, high-resolution first flight photos are available for download on scaled.com. 2. Liebherr LR13000 Crawler Crane. The Liebherr LR13000 stands out as the most powerful traditional crawler crane globally, and it finds its sweet spot in power plant and refinery construction. This heavyweight crane is designed to effortlessly lift incredibly heavy components, a must-have in the world of power plants where colossal weights are the norm. And in refineries, it gracefully handles industrial columns weighing a staggering 3.3 million pounds, or 1.5 million kilograms, and stretching 328 feet, or 100 meters in length. But despite its mammoth size, this crane can be transported worldwide at a low cost, thanks to its ability to manage individual weights of up to 154,400 pounds, or 70,000 kilograms. What sets the LR13000 apart is its unique capability to operate without derrick ballast, a feature facilitated by a slewing ring developed by Liebherr with extraordinary lifting prowess. In the world of heavy machinery, the LR13000 is a true heavyweight champion, making complex construction tasks look like a walk in the park. 1. Letourneau L2350. The P&H L2350 wheel loader, once known as the L2350 loader, is a heavyweight champion in surface mining, proudly holding the Guinness World Record for the biggest earth mover. Crafted by Komatsu Limited, this loader is a powerhouse designed to efficiently load haul trucks with colossal capacities of up to 400 short tons, or 362,874 kilograms, and with an impressive operating payload of 80 short tons, or 72,575 kilograms, a lift height of 23 feet, or 7 meters, and a reach of 11.5 feet, or 3.5 meters. The L2350 is a force to be reckoned with. Originally manufactured by Letourneau Inc., the loader changed hands over the years, with Marathon, Rowan Companies, and finally, Joy Global, which gave it the name P&H L2350. This colossal machine exemplifies the evolution of heavy equipment in surface mining, showcasing both power and precision in its impressive capabilities. Which one of these heavy machines impress you the most? Let us know what you think in the comments down below. And if you enjoyed this video, be sure to leave a like and subscribe to the channel. Thank you so much for watching, and we'll see you in the next one. Bye.